A storm is brewing behind the scenes, and it's one that could reshape the future of the franchise. Whispers are turning into real conversations, and what once seemed like a long shot is now firmly on the table. A major decision looms, one that could send shockwaves through the locker room and ignite debate across the entire fan base. Everything you thought was settled might not be so certain anymore. So come with me and I'll keep you well informed. Click the like button and comment below. Rise up. The latest bombshell coming out of Flowery Branch is one that's going to stir up some strong opinions among the Falcons faithful. The possibility that Atlanta could be eyeing a quarterback in the 2026 NFL Draft. And let's be real, this isn't just some far-fetched theory. With Michael Penix Jr. now officially sidelined for the entire season, marking the 5th time in his football career that he's suffered a season-ending injury, the front office has some serious thinking to do. Even if you're fully on the Penix train, it's impossible to ignore the storm clouds gathering around his long-term availability. Here's the situation. Kirk Cousins, the 37-year-old veteran who was brought in to bring stability, is under contract through 2025. But after that, the Falcons could clear $35 million by moving on, and it seems more likely than not that he won't be back in 2026. That leaves Penix Jr., but with his injury history and another lost offseason to rehab, the idea of drafting a quarterback isn't just logical, it might be necessary. Now, before anyone jumps in the comments to burn this whole idea to the ground, no one here is advocating to ditch Penix just yet. He's only had 12 starts. That's not a fair sample size to judge a quarterback's career trajectory, especially one as talented as he is. But here's the rub. If Penix is once again limited during the offseason, that's going to seriously stunt his development going into year 3. The Falcons might have no choice but to have a contingency plan, especially with a new coaching staff expected to come in after this season. And don't forget, this coaching change could play a massive role in this entire discussion. A new regime might want their guy under center, not one inherited from the last administration. Add in the fact that the Falcons won't have a first-round pick next year thanks to the trade for James Pierce Jr., and things start getting real interesting. Because of that trade, the team's first draft picks in 2026 are in the 2nd and 3rd rounds, typically not spots where you're pressured to play a rookie QB right away. It could be the perfect scenario to stash a developmental quarterback without fan backlash. Now, who are the names being floated around as potential 2nd or 3rd round QB targets? 3 of them stand out: Lenora Sellers from South Carolina, Jaden Maiava from USC, and Cade Klubnik from Clemson. All 3 bring different skill sets and red flags to the table, but the key thread here is that they're all considered developmental, guys who could be molded quietly behind the scenes if Penix stays healthy, but ready to step up if he doesn't. Let's start with Sellers. If you've seen him play, you know he's got the kind of raw athleticism that makes scouts drool, big, fast, and with an absolute cannon for an arm. The dual threat potential is off the charts. But he's far from polished. His fundamentals need work, especially when it comes to hitting the easy throws. He's got that always looking for the home run mentality that coaches usually have to rein in. Still, he's the kind of year-long project that could pay huge dividends if developed properly. You don't start him in year 1, you let him sit, learn, and grow under a healthy Penix. Then there's Jaden Maiava, who might be the most NFL-ready of the bunch. His numbers pop off the page: 2,800 passing yards, 18 touchdowns, a 66% completion rate. He's got a lightning-fast release and he's excellent in a no-huddle scheme, exactly what you'd expect coming out of Lincoln Riley's USC offense. But like Penix, when the pocket collapses, things get dicey. His footwork can get sloppy, and that's a dangerous habit to have at the next level. Still, out of all 3, Maiava looks the most like someone who could be a legitimate starter within a year or 2. Last but not least, we have Cade Klubnik. Before the 2025 season started, he was projected to be the number 1 overall pick. But Clemson's struggles this year have taken a toll on his draft stock. Still, Klubnik has arguably the best deep ball in the class and can manipulate the pocket with the best of them. The biggest knock on him? He locks onto his first read way too often. That lack of progression reading is a red flag, and it's probably what dropped him into the day 2 conversation. Still, he's got a natural feel for the game and throws a pretty ball. There's something there to work with. So let's call it what it is. Atlanta isn't actively planning to replace Penix just yet. But they'd be crazy not to prepare for the worst. When your franchise quarterback has a medical chart longer than most resumes, you can't just assume he'll be good to go every season. And if the Falcons want to avoid another year of scrambling for a backup plan, now might be the perfect time to quietly groom someone behind the scenes. And let's be honest, the 2026 free agent quarterback market? It's brutal. Outside of Daniel Jones, who's expected to re-sign in Indy, your best options are Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Zach Wilson, and Joe Flacco. That's not a plan, that's a list of desperation. Rodgers and Flacco are ancient. Zach Wilson? He's more erratic than a toddler on espresso. Russell Wilson? Well, let's just say his best days are behind him. So, with limited options in free agency and a draft class where the best quarterbacks might be sitting in rounds 2 and 3, Terry Fontenot and the Falcons brass have some thinking to do. You could either hope that Penix finally stays healthy and delivers, or you could start building a safety net now that doesn't involve crossing your fingers and praying Joe Flacco still has gas left in the tank. What do you think, Falcons fans? Should Atlanta draft a quarterback in 2026, or ride with Penix and hope for the best? Let's say the Falcons do decide to pull the trigger on a developmental quarterback in 2026, the plan would have to be airtight. You can't afford another situation where a young, raw talent is thrust into action before they're ready, especially behind an offensive line that's still a work in progress. That's why this second or third round QB needs to be viewed as a long-term project, not a savior. And the reality is, even if Penix returns healthy, which we all hope for, his ability to stay on the field has now become the single biggest question mark in Atlanta's quarterback room. His potential has never been in question. The arm talent, leadership, and big play ability are undeniable. But 5 season-ending injuries? That's not just unlucky. That's a pattern. And in a league where availability is everything, that's something no franchise can ignore. Terry Fontenot's front office already made an aggressive move by trading away their 2026 first-round pick to get James Pierce Jr., so unless there's another bold trade up the board, the team is boxed into either making a smart second- or third-round selection or kicking the can down the road and hoping Penix holds up. It's a gamble either way. But if they go the draft route, one of these 3 names, Sellers, Mailata, or Klubnik, could be the answer. Now let's imagine a best-case scenario. Penix comes back strong, starts all 17 games in 2026, and shows real growth under a new offensive staff. That would be the ideal situation. A new QB prospect spends a year developing in the background, learning the playbook, adjusting to the speed of the NFL, and maturing without the pressure of immediate playing time. In that scenario, the Falcons don't just have a starter, they have insurance. And in the NFL, smart insurance policies often lead to championships. On the flip side, if Penix goes down again, or regresses under new coaching, Atlanta would be stuck in QB purgatory without a plan, again. That's been the Achilles heel of this franchise since Matt Ryan's departure. No continuity. No real succession plan. Just stopgap solutions and recycled veterans. That cycle needs to end. What's interesting here is that this conversation also forces us to think about the kind of identity this franchise wants moving forward. Do the Falcons lean into a high upside, mobile QB like Lenora Sellers and build a more RPO-heavy, dynamic offense? Or do they double down on traditional pocket passing with someone like Mailata, who's more in line with the Kirk Cousins mold? Or perhaps Klubnik offers that middle ground, a high football IQ guy with a natural deep ball who just needs better coaching and time to mature. And coaching, that's going to be everything. Whoever the next regime is, they'll be inheriting this quarterback situation, and their development philosophy will shape how this QB room evolves. If they bring in a staff with a proven track record of grooming quarterbacks, the developmental route becomes a lot more appealing. But if it's another unproven group still trying to figure things out, you might see Atlanta lean toward experience and avoid drafting another project altogether. Also looming in this conversation is the fan base's patience, or lack thereof. Falcons fans have been through the ringer over the last several seasons. Missed playoff opportunities, disappointing QB play, and a lack of consistency on both sides of the ball have made optimism a rare commodity. A quarterback drafted in the second or third round isn't going to inspire jersey sales or headlines, but it might be the smartest move the team could make if they want to build a sustainable winner. We also can't ignore the financial implications. With Cousins off the books in 2026 and Penix still on a rookie deal, Atlanta would be in a great cap situation to surround a young quarterback room with talent. Wide receiver, offensive line, and the secondary still need help, and you could address all of those areas with the flexibility gained by not overpaying at quarterback. It's not flashy, but it's how winning teams stay competitive for the long haul. So, we come full circle. The Falcons are entering a crucial transition phase, aging veterans moving out, new coaching staff likely coming in, and a quarterback room that, no matter how you spin it, is unstable. Drafting a QB in 2026 doesn't have to mean giving up on Penix. It just means being smart enough to prepare for all outcomes. And if that QB ends up being the right pick, Then you've got your quarterback of the future on the roster already. You're not scrambling when the next injury happens or when free agency dries up. You're not paying $25 million for a Band-Aid like Zach Wilson or praying for a miracle from a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers. You're building the right way, the long-term way. So, if you're a Falcons fan watching this and feeling that internal conflict, hope for panics, fear of the unknown, frustration from years of disappointment, you're not alone. This is a conversation worth having, and it's one the front office will need to answer with actions, not just words. The draft isn't for another few months, but make no mistake, decisions are already being made behind closed doors. Subscribe now because if the Falcons make any changes at quarterback, you'll be the first to know about it here. Like the video for more exclusive Falcons news. Go Falcons!